Hey, what's up? So, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Oh my goodness, this is another cash grab. Let's just be honest. This is another cash grab. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but this is clearly a studio movie that is focused on making money and establishing a new franchise. They're shameless at doing it because apart from the good cinematography, apart from the good direction, it's a template. You've seen this before. You've seen the story before. There's nothing new about it. Apart from that, it's just a bunch of apes, and it's really well directed. The guys behind the scene did a fantastic job to give us the best production that we've seen. The motion capture is excellent. Everything technical about this film is perfect, but the story, the concept, and I think the idea behind this is just what we know, and you can actually see by the end of this movie what the studio was trying to do. Now let's get into the review. Before I get into it, if you are here and you are a subscriber and you're watching this, big up to yourself. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I love you. If you are not subscribed to my channel, press the button. Just press it anyway. I believe that when this movie was being conceptualized, the studio executives sat down and thought, wow, we need to bring back the Planet of Apes. It was making us a shitload of money. How can we just kill off that franchise? I mean, guys, give us a new idea. And the guy stands up and goes like, what if we go into the future after Caesar is dead, many generations later, and we do what Hollywood has been doing for years and years and years, which is basically this. Take a protagonist, he's living cool in his small village, everything is working the way it's supposed to work. Then some bad guy comes in, they destroy the village, and they take them, and this young man's father is obviously is supposed to be a leader of the community. And so he dies as the young man watches, and that triggers the young man to go and seek for revenge and try to rescue his community. And then he goes into where the community is, and then they find the leader who is there, and the leader is just a bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy. He just wants to be a bad guy because bad guys exist. He wants to either rule the world or create something that is just bad guy related. And during that period, the young man comes to a realization that he has to save his community, and so he fights off this bad guy, but the bad guy is too strong for him. But then you introduce this thing that has been set up throughout the movie to come in and, at that precise moment and actually come into play and save the young man, and the community is able to witness it, and then they look at him right now and they go like, yes, that is our leader. Yeah, you've seen that story many times. You remember Apocalypto, but not everything Apocalypto, just a bit of Apocalypto. Hey, you remember iRobot? Yeah, you remember how they treated Sunny? Like Sunny was coming to age, he didn't know what he was supposed to become. Yeah, we pick a bit of that. Yeah, and then a guy stands up and goes like, yeah, but you just can't have apes running around. What do we need to do? We need to do something different that brings in the people. Oh, let's bring in a character, like a human character. Yes, we need a human character so that the audiences can connect to these people. Then other person goes like, hey, but in the first, but remember the first ape movies, we had this particular character. No, but that was male characters. Today is all about the female characters. So we need a female character. Oh, we need a female character? No, we need female characters, but we don't show them right now. We need one female characters, because obviously today's movie, you always need that strong female character. Oh, I know. What about Lara Croft? Lara Croft in this movie, yeah, that's a good idea. No, but if you have Lara Croft doing Lara Croft stuff in an ape movie, it will look like a Lara Croft movie, but with apes. You go like, no. We take the image of Lara Croft, and then we cut off all this adventure aspect about Lara Croft. We just take the look, a toned down version of her, and then we implant her into the story. And then what? And so another person stands up and goes like, yes, that is our secret card. Her mission in this particular movie is going to be getting this MacGuffin. And then when she gets that MacGuffin, at the end of the film, that MacGuffin is supposed to establish something that clearly sets up the next movie. And then the studio executive stands up and goes like, yes, my guy, that is what I wanted you to say. A franchise. As long as you connect it to the next movie, you have all the money that you need to make this. Do you need great visual effects? Yes, we need great. Do you need to make this a technical marvel? Yeah, you get the money, go do your thing. And so that's the movie, basically. What I've just said is the exact movie that we got. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a very well directed film. I thought the director did a good job giving us an idea of how this world, this future looks like. I thought he did a very good job giving us an idea of how different factions of the apes live and behave, and their mindset and their idea of how one character can actually totally skew the narrative in order for them to benefit from themselves. I like the fact that they did not take the third act where I thought that they were going to take the third act, because the third act, it's smartly done. I thought that idea of the beach scene and what they did with something in particular, I thought that was pretty cool. The antagonist was a very interesting pick, because he's not one of those antagonists that is out there fierce and he's threatening and he's all that. He's a very smart dude. He knows what he wants. He's very charismatic. Every time I was watching them, I was thinking of Forrest Whitaker. I just kept thinking of, if you ever watch any Forrest Whitaker movie, the way he behaves, the way he talks, his decadent, the way he communicates, I saw that in this particular character. I like that he was actually a very smart ape. He was forward looking. He knew exactly what he needed. I think that he was doing the right thing for the community, though he was doing it in the wrong way. And his greed, maybe, let me call it his over ambition, is what brought him down. But generally, some of his ideology were not off. They were okay. The idea of bringing all apes together and creating a kingdom, that would have been interesting. But then that need to like be the overall, that, I think that is what just brings him down. Apart from that, his dialogue is very well written, and he's actually a very charismatic character. You look at him and you'll see some leaders that you've seen in our lifetime. America, I know you know what I mean. Anyway, the CGI is very good. The motion capture is fantastic. I can't take the. I think this is what Lion King is supposed to be doing. But you see, the problem with lions is lions are not apes, so they can't quite emote. But if this is what Disney has been trying to do, then too bad. I think this movie got it. That those expressions, you can actually study you can see how the characters feel. You can see how the characters react, and I thought that for me worked very well. In fact, if this was only an Apes movie, and it was, let's say, the first act and the second act was all silent, they just used sign language, for me that would have been okay. It would have been perfect, because they're able to emote so well. Though it might sound weird, yes, if this was like a silent film and we had dialogue only begin when Proximus is introduced, I think that would have been a much more interesting ape movie. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, because all the apes movie, you have the apes talking, but you could just do something different. And I would wish to go back to the director. I like the way he's able to give us an idea of how different these communities are. Because apes, when told apes, you think they are all the same, but for this particular for this particular clan, they have their own way of life with egos, and how egos play into the ecosystem, and how they've created this small world of theirs. I thought that was in itself very, very interesting. In the future, if obviously it's going to be a franchise, maybe we could have those pockets of different clans who do things differently, giving us an idea that when the apes became smart, they were able to create their own, societies and stuff. That was pretty awesome. Now, when you go to the negative, here we have the same old, man. Yeah, the female characters. We did not. I'm not talking about being woke. I'm just saying that we do not need that character. And she looks like Lara Croft. And for me, it was not believable that they were living in a future whereby human beings were reduced to animals. Human beings are not superior anymore. I couldn't buy that. You know why? Because there's one thing that I know about human beings. Human beings adapt. Human beings, their body and their mind, they tend to adapt. Once things change, they tend to adapt to, accommodate that change. For example, there's a scene that we see a lot of human beings behaving like animals. But I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but that doesn't make sense, because if truly generation had passed and human beings had been relegated to those kind of animals, number one, you'd have a lot of hair on their bodies, because their body need to stay warm. So if they're living in the forest, their bodies would have adapted to that kind of situation. So you'd have much more hairy people. Number two, Their hearing would have been better. When the villain were coming, they should have heard that from a kilometer away. Number three, they should have been more, they should have developed themselves they should have created more defense mechanism. Like for example, camouflage. You know, human beings are smart. Even when they are relegated to being animals, they are in itself smart because they will find a way of trying to survive. Nature naturally gives people camouflage as a defense mechanism. So for human beings, they would have created a way to stay incognito in this particular world. Like for example, have themselves transform themselves into leaves. So when we are introduced to them, we should not have been able to see them coming to drink water. We should have been there, but you cannot see them. You understand? Those small things for me are the ones that were bothering me. This character is too clean. Yeah, I understand that she came from a camp, but I would imagine that before everything happened and they were attacked, number one, because the world was so volatile, she should have been too well prepared in that her outfit would have been prepared for the harsh world, or number two, her body would have adapted to suit the new way of life. Number one, having a very lean body because of the nature of the world they're living in. I thought her body would have been much leaner. Number two, I thought she should have been much more dirtier. Number three, if not lean and dirtier, I thought she should have been more skinny. Number four, her outfit wouldn't look like that way, Bana. Her outfit were more of a video game character, Lara Croft to be specific, rather than who we see in this particular movie. Because her outfit doesn't sell that idea that this is a future where human beings are having a difficult time. I don't know if you understand me. If, for example, their camp was like the camp that is introduced during the final act, at least if you even saw it, when someone was leaving the gate, she had her whatevers when she was meeting this other person. Meaning that this female character, they call her Nova. Meaning that Nova, when they meet her, she should have been well prepared for this particular world. As I said, human beings adapt. Things I need to add, number one, the sound effects, especially with something as small as that, those electric bars that they had, they use sound effect effectively. It's used in some places to just add tension to the scene, whether it's the waves, whether it's the monkey, the apes just moving on top of wooden platforms. The other thing was the score. If you love the OG Planet of the Apes, then you'll be pleasantly surprised at some point when they do a callback or a homage to those particular movies. So you'll hear something familiar from the original Planet of the Apes. So back to the review. Anyway, those are my thoughts. These are very well directed, beautiful looking film. Interesting story, but it's clearly a cash grab from the studio. They're setting up their next franchise, and it falls more in line with Maze Runner. If you remember Maze Runner, that feeling, that tone, the first one, you get that feeling and that tone in this particular movie. But the direction is excellent. That one I can give it to the director. It's excellent. The emotional moments are punched up very, very well. There's some moments with a character called Anya that were pretty interesting. There are some really quiet moments that are actually really interesting because of how they are directed, because he knows how to bring out certain emotions during particular moments. So I thought that was cool. Anyway, if I was to give this out of 5, wow, I'll divide this by 3. First of all, visual effects, I'll give this a 4.5 out of 5. It's fantastic, it looks beautiful, and the visual effects are flawless, especially the motion capture. When it comes to story and basically as a franchise, I would give this a 4 in setting up a franchise for people who are dumb enough to actually go into it. This is Netflix wet dream. Let me just put it that way, because it's doing everything that you'd expect from a Netflix movie, minus the visual effects. Anyway, as I was saying, I'll give this a 3.5 out of 5 for story. Then generally as a movie, in terms of performances, again, that I'll give a 4 because the performances are really, really good, especially the motion capture. They're fantastic. The female character is she's not a bad actress. The only problem is how she's written. So I don't know. I'll give, for her only I'll give her 2, just because of the writing and the idea of that particular character. I didn't think that it was necessary. In terms of just a movie for the sake of a movie, not the average of all the other marks. In terms of me just going to the cinemas and actually just watching a movie, I'll give this a 2. Yeah, because it's a shameless cash grab. It's there to set up a franchise. It's designed to set up a franchise. There's nothing to it. You know, it's literally, it's a template, it's a formula that I've seen before, and they use all the modern day tropes that are plaguing towards, that are plaguing movies in the modern cinema. Basically, anytime you're in a scene that involves people, have a multicultural female character group of people being the center of the screen. Basically, like, take super close-up of female characters, Asians, Africans, black, Asians, black, white, but make sure that you don't see any middle-aged white person. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and enjoy what you watch. Thanks for being here. If you are still here, please subscribe. I'm on an arc to 100k. I hope to improve myself. I hope to improve my style of presentation. I hope to be a more entertaining film reviewer. But as for now, I'll just urge you to subscribe and maybe see me evolve, and maybe see you evolve, and maybe one day when you get there, you're going to be like, yo dude, I remember when you started off, you are like super cool. Now you're just selling us stuff that you don't want to buy. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.